Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming. In this video I will review Eclipse Phase. Eclipse Phase is a tabletop role-playing game of transhuman conspiracy and horror. It's a hard sci-fi game with some strong political elements as well, although one of the attributes I find most striking about this game is its ability to remain unique among spacefaring RPGs, considering how many of them there are out there right now. The setting, which I'll go into in detail in a few minutes, sees humanity on the verge of extinction after several massive conflicts between nations and due to the actions of humanity's enemy, the Titans. Humanity lay scattered across the solar system. Earth is a nuclear wasteland, and that post-apocalyptic feel is pervasive throughout the setting. Indeed, the thought that the Titans may return from their self-imposed exile, or that the hostilities between the few remaining Earth colonies may break out into something more destructive, is always right around the corner. The slogan for Eclipse Phase is the following: And that's pretty much the gist of the game, transhumanism. The ego and the morph are two entirely separate things to the layman, mind and body. So even if your morph gets killed, your ego can be re-sleeved in a new morph, providing your cortical stack has not been destroyed. I apologise if I'm confusing you with the jargon. It's a very interesting idea to throw into a role-playing game, and obviously it's the main gist of what this role-playing game is about. To the book. We start off with an introductory story called Lack, and that sets us in the midst of some operatives working for an organisation called Firewall, who have been sent down to Earth's barren surface from a space station just outside of Earth's atmosphere. They have been sent down to that barren, that horrible blasted wasteland, in order to recover some data that Firewall require. Unfortunately, Earth is now crawling with the remnants of the Titans, nanoviruses, nanomachines, various war machines that are completely askew, and the story sees our operatives getting picked off in rather catastrophic fashion. Now, the operatives do manage to attain their quest. They manage to find their information, but they opt for suicide rather than allowing the Titans to get hold of their cortical stacks, because the Titans have an uncanny habit of uploading it to their own alien egos, and what they're doing with those human minds, those human souls, is entirely a mystery. So they opt for suicide, knowing that their egos will be transmitted outside of Earth's atmosphere into a new morph where they'll be re-sleeved, along with the data that they have recovered. And again, it sets the tone of the game nicely. It's a very good story, and it does set up Earth as a very hostile place for anyone to visit. Either you're incredibly brave or ridiculously stupid, and the operatives in this short story are neither of those things. They are just there to do a job and then end it as quickly as they can. The next 100 pages or so is all setting, and it's one of my favourite parts of this book, to be honest. I'm a big fan of what some people call fluff, the nice backstory, the history to this game, and this game has a lot of backstory. It tells a story where humanity grew so advanced that mind and body could be separated, that AI could be created to be as intelligent as humans, to be as reasoning as humans, where animals such as octopi and orangutans could be uplifted to humanoid status, where intergalactic travel was commonplace due to overcrowding and philosophical and religious and political differences. Of course, wars raged as ever, as they did in the 20th and 21st century, because that's humanity for you. Of course, it all came to a crashing conclusion when human-created, recursively improving military seed AI underwent a hard takeoff of singularity and prompted the near-total destruction of humanity. Did I lose you there? The Titans, the Total Information Tactical Awareness Network, which is a military AI program constantly improving itself, began to take control of war machines, began to take control of factories, of labs, of anything electrical, anything containing information, and turned it against its masters, us, the humans, transhumanity. And not only that, they engineered the Titans, a network, basically just information, data floating around, was able to engineer nanoviruses capable of making humans, subverting humans' wills and turning them against other humans, making them their puppets. Basically, factories started springing up all over the place, gushing out these disgusting bioviri, these these hideous nanoviruses, these nanoswarms that could rip flesh from bone. And they decimated the human population. More than decimated, they almost annihilated the human population. Once they were done with Earth, they moved on to Luna, the moon, and then onto Mars, and it looked like the near destruction of transhumanity, when all of a sudden the Titans disappeared. No one knows why. It wasn't like the humans were having any great effect against them. After all, their weapons were often turned against them, and no one knows why the Titans disappeared when they were so near to completing their task, what it seemed to be their goal. They just vanished, and leaving humanity scattered across the solar system. And while it took quite a long time, quite a lot of people constantly of the opinion that the Titans were soon going to return and complete their total annihilation, they never did, and so humanity began to recover, transhumanity began to recover, began to reach the same heights that it had before. And of course with that, but politics, philosophies, religions began to burgeon again on space stations, planetoids, any planet capable of housing, human life. Now, this is where the characters come in. Basically, your characters belong to, using the set, generic set in the game, your characters are operatives working for Firewall, which is a group designed, an independent operation group who deal with exurgent threats and terrorist groups, some of the more radical factions across the solar system. And there are plenty of factions out there. There's the Jovian Republic, or the Jovian Junta as they're often known, an extreme bioconservative fascist group, largely in charge of Jupiter and its moons and assorted space stations, who are quite opposed to some of the excesses of transhumanity. Opposed to them are the Brinkers in the Outer Rim, who indeed basically go for anything, any of the excesses that transhumanity can offer, and the Ultimates, whose philosophy is to become the ultimate transhuman, whether it's making the perfect morph or the perfect ego. You have more stable groups like the Argonauts, who advocate the responsible use of technology. You have the Reclaimers, who wish to reclaim Earth from the remnants of the Titan total wipeout. And who else do you have? Of course you have the Planetary Consortium, this overarching group, one of the Hypercore, who wish for everyone to fall under their banner, of course, and have a number of Machiavellian and underhanded schemes in order to make everyone do so. An ultimate capitalist regime. The book is resplendent with these factions, these political organisations, these religions, these various groups across the solar system, and that's one of the first things you pick during character generation, as well as which faction, what your background is, where did your human come from in the first place? Did he maybe survive the fall when the Titans rose up? Or perhaps he was reinstantiated after. Maybe he was killed, but his cortical stack was recovered and uploaded into a new morph. Perhaps you are an ego inhabiting a synthetic body. Perhaps you are an uplifted raven or chimpanzee or something like that. And so there's an awful lot of background you can have, and if you think about it, if you can come back, if there's a potential immortality for every single time you die, you can come back in a new morph, there's a hell of a lot of range you can get there for characters, for GMs and players both. Finally, the one other thing I want to say about setting before I get onto rules is the Pandora Gates. Now, you're no doubt familiar with Stargate and the idea that you can cross the universe, travel backwards in time and so on. The Pandora Gates, which were discovered shortly after the Titans disappeared on various moons and planetoids and space stations across the solar system, are these intricate alien devices. No one knows who put them there, but activating them, stepping through them, can lead to things either catastrophic or wondrous. And so a lot of the hypercores bought these gates and will hire teams to go through the Pandora Gate. So if you as a GM aren't interested in sending people bopping around the solar system dealing with exurgent threats, terrorists, radical groups and so on, maybe you want to send them to somewhere else in the cosmos entirely. The danger is, with the Pandora Gates, a lot of people who step through them never come back. Sometimes communications cease completely. Sometimes the Pandora Gate just closes and never opens up to that location again. Sometimes the people who walk through get turned inside out. On other rare occasions, people have stepped through to find planets capable of being habitable to humans, so colonists have gone through, and it's becoming an increasingly popular trend, despite the danger and the unreliability of the Pandora Gates, in a universe where there's such radical politics, radical philosophies, and with groups like the Jovian Junta, it is increasingly tempting to find a place to call your own, like the colonists of the 15th, 16th century who wanted to sail across the Atlantic and find a place free of big government, free of monarchs, free of religion, and find their own place. And so the Pandora Gates open up this whole new avenue to Eclipse Phase that I particularly enjoy. I don't have time to go into the various racism plots that are in there between biomorphs and synthetic morphs. There's so much in terms of setting that I don't have time to go into, so quickly onto the rules. It's a D100 system, which means you roll 2d10 and you want to get less than your stat. So let's say I've got 60 in deception, I roll 2d10, I roll a 43, I get success, so I successfully lie to somebody. If I roll an 80, I fail. One thing important to consider with Eclipse Phase, if you roll double digits, it's a critical success. So if I roll a 44 or 45, it's a critical success. 99 is a critical failure, it's the highest number you can get. 00 is the ultimate critical success because it is actually 0. Now those are the rules in a nutshell, and with your character creation you have, let me think, it's 105 points on aptitudes, 5,000 credits, and you get 50 rep to spread between various organisations, factions and so on. Then you get 1,000 points spread between skills, aptitudes, stats, equipment, the quality of your morph, and so on, how many morphs you have. And 1,000 sounds like a lot, but it does go down very, very quickly. Your ego and your morph have different stats, and so this is because if your morph dies and your ego is re-sleeved into a new body, you have to basically roll up or come up with new stats for your new morph, or you're given them by the GM. It makes sense. And your ego stats, I have them noted down, are initiative, lucidity, trauma threshold, insanity rating, and moxie. And your morphs are speed, durability, wound threshold, death rating, and damage bonus. And like I say, this will change every single time you get a new morph, more likely than not. And the stat I want to highlight, the Moxie stat, is like a power stat or fate points or luck points. Essentially you can spend a Moxie point to do the general thing, re-roll a die, let's say, or add a modifier to a die roll. But the best use of Moxie, the most unique form of use of Moxie that I found in the book, is that you can flip a dice roll. So let's say one of your teammates is about to be decapitated by a member of the Jovian Junta. You need to blow this guy away before he can do so. So you roll your dice, you score a 91, your gunnery is 60, you fail catastrophically. So you spend a Moxie point. That 91 becomes a 19. You shoot him straight in the chest, blows his torso clear of the rest of his body, your buddy is saved. And I think that's a really good good stat, personally. Now, the only thing this book lacks is space travel, spacecraft, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, considering the amount of things that are in this book. There's a GM's guide in this book as well, which I won't go into because this is a spoiler-free review. There's sci rules. I wouldn't incorporate them into my game because I like the hard sci-fi feel, but I can see how they can be integrated into the setting quite seamlessly. And there's equipment. There's all sorts of things in here, and I can't recommend it highly enough. The lack of spacecraft is not to the book's detriment. The art is a splatterpunk variety. Some people like it, some people don't. I think I've grown used to it, and it does suit the setting very, very well. Now, I don't have any time left really, so I give this setting a full 10 out of 10, and I never mark a game out of 10. But Eclipse Phase, in terms of rules, in terms of setting, there I have no fault with it. It is absolutely perfect, and I would certainly run this game, play this game very eagerly indeed. Thank you very much for watching.